Hi there, welcome to Music Corner Symphonizing episode 19. I'm David Kolma. So today, in the first hour, I'll be going through the opening of the last of Haydn's symphonies, Symphony number 104, which amazingly enough is also called the London Symphony. The last in the published in groups of 6. This is the second group of 6 of symphonies he wrote for London. And those are the last 12 symphonies he wrote. And then I'm going to look at the next little bit of the Mahler 9. I wanted to get to the next big loud thing in the Mahler 9th Symphony that I talked about yesterday. So it's another page or so. And then in hour 2, since we got to the end of the exposition, it's now time for me to distill down the last page or so in terms of what kind of techniques are being used, and then I'm going to write something that is using similar techniques. So once you've written a theme in this, the second theme in the dominant key in a major key symphony, you write some more music in that key, you do a big cadence, and then you write some material afterward that kind of finishes out the exposition. So that's what I'll be doing in the second hour today. All right. So moving forward. So my intention yesterday was to pair something very different from the Mahler 9th Symphony, but it took enough time for me to just type out a reduction of some of it to be able to talk about that I wasn't able to get to another symphony. So the one I had in mind was this Haydn symphony. So Haydn's last symphony, it's also in D. Here it happens to be D major, but in this particular, someone photocopied 2 pages at once and didn't break it in half. So, but notice here it's got a 1 flat key signature at the beginning. So Haydn's going to start in D minor. So, which is not an unusual thing to do. So, D major symphony with a D minor slow introduction. So let's take a listen to, I got a good portion of the exposition too, so we can see where this goes to. So let's take a listen to all of this. I'm going to have some trouble with the score over here. Over there. Yeah. The score over in this direction, away from me. That this is going to be, because of the way it's pulled out, if I have it this big, it just means I have to kind of scroll back and left. So, good luck to me. So that we want page height. So here's the first few minutes of Haydn's last symphony. got very close to the arrival at the. This is the second theme that happens right here, which is the main tune, just in the dominant. And so that's in A major there, instead of D major. Right. So let's go back to the very beginning here. So we got the whole orchestra does the big fanfare at the very beginning. So we get, so if you're sitting down and you're at these are all written for a set of public concerts in London. London was one of the first places in, say, 18th century. This is the 18th century, so we're like 1780s. No, yeah, whoosh, 1790, something around there. And Haydn is. So you're coming to this concert. They give you a program. There's a lot of stuff. You're not going to necessarily listen to the symphony movements in order. They're going to listen to there are multiple days in a row where this happens. I don't remember the exact history, but we're going to imagine something akin to that idea. So you sit down, program. So Haydn. So it's a symphony in D major. That's what I'll say, because he wrote 6 of them, and the order he published them, we don't actually know based on the reviews which symphonies were performed when. You sort of have to guess. Sometimes you can tell based upon what they describe, but sometimes it's harder. So this one opens with, so it says D major, sure, okay. Whatever that means. And then you start with 3 Ds and an A. D, 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 A. And notice that so we got a 30-second note in this slow tempo. And then we do the same thing, but we go down. D, 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 A. And at this point, it could be D major, it could be D minor, it could be anything. So in a certain sense, unless you know the symphony well, you would expect the next measure to be in D major. But knowing that starting with something kind of moody in D minor generally makes for a more tantalizing opening, as it were. So what happens next, and now we can use the score over here, the bassoon is also playing, and they're just doubling it's the viola at first. So we get a D minor chord in first inversion, so that we get D minor over F. So in some sense, that's a little bit of a surprise. And that moves to a A7 chord with G on the bottom. So this is a minor 1-6 going to 5-4-2. Notice there's no third in the lower strings here. That's just G, A, and E. And so the third is going to come in the violins, but they're going to start with a dissonance. So that D, C sharp, the D is like as if the violins were playing on the first chord. So if it was something like, so it's like if you do all of it at once, it would make sense. The voicing. So we would have F in the cellos and basses in octaves. We have A in the violas, and we have D in the second violins. And then we would have D an octave above that in the first violins. And then in the next, then they do a pickup where everybody moves. So the G arrives, the A stays, this D becomes E, and the one above it becomes C sharp. So this is the pattern. And so what Haydn is doing is he's taking that 4-voice pattern and he's just offsetting the upper voice to happen after everybody else moves. So dee dee da dum, so dum dum da dum, dee da dum dum, and so that makes it even more interesting. And so that means that this D is just an unprepared dissonance, as it were, if you want to think of it as like some kind of bonkers appositura. That sounds good to me. And so then that repeats completely. So the next measure is a complete repetition of the third. This is the third measure of the music. This is the fourth measure. So we had two measures. One where the A went up. We went up to A. The second we went down to A. And then we have two measures that are the same, going 1-6 to 5-4-2 in D minor. And then we get something slightly different. So it sounds like this. So what does he do? He modifies this. So we still get F and A and D in the low strings and the bassoon, still playing the viola line. But instead of going to E, A, and G, we still get our G, but we now get a B flat, which is in the key signature, and an E. So instead of an A holding on, we get a B flat. So we get this sound. So that's a diminished triad with E just by itself. And so we're like, well, what's going to happen now? It's not that odd. But, you know, this is something like, it seems like it could be a 2-6. Is it going to be? That's a possibility. But if he had kept the C sharp, notice they moved to C natural in the first violins. If he kept C sharp, it would just make it into a 7 diminished chord, which would go back to D minor. And that all sounds lovely. That would match the pattern of the first two bars. But instead, with a C natural, so with C sharp, it would be 7 diminished 4-3. But instead, we get C natural. So I don't have a natural sign, so that's just with C. So with C, instead, what happens is this becomes a 5-4-3 of F, which is our relative major. So that sounds, so with the, if I play all four voices at the same time, so this is, so now we're thinking about going to, is he going to push to F major, the relative major? We'll find out. So the next bar, so what we expect is a repeat of this bar based on what's happened so far, but instead we continue and does more dotted rhythms that are faster. So boom, dee da dum, dee da dum. That happens a bunch of times. So the bass note here moves up by step to A. And so when that A happens, we get E, G, B flat, and C. So we're getting dissonances here still. So the inner voices take a moment to resolve. So they hold on to their E and their G. They leap up to G and B flat that fits in that C7 chord. And then they go down, then they resolve to F and A. So what ends up happening in the end is we get our 3-chord 6. So we get an F major triad after some resolutions. So the E and the G, this is the E, this is the G, then they flip up to B flat and G. So these are all notes that belong to this chord here. And then they resolve to F and A. This F is in this voice and A is here. So that gives us finally our full chord of the F major chord. So we're expecting an F major chord, and we get one. Going from some kind of D chord to some kind of C chord, to some kind of F chord. The bass moves in our standard pattern for F, G, A with the 4-3 chord here. That's a standard pattern. And then that pushes through, so we get B flat, G, B flat, and D. That's a D, G, B flat, and B flat. So we keep going up in the bass to B flat. That pivot, that pushes up to, so we now have D, G, and a resolution of C down to B flat. Okay, let me do this here. I'm gonna copy, I'm just gonna write that B flat chord again down here. Then we have C. Both voices have C, and then we have F and A. So notice here we have our F major. This is a 6/4 chord. It happens to be a cadential 6/4. So we've gone from D minor through that to F major. Then we go through a chord in between, which is here repeated, and we go to F major one more time. F, A, and C in a bunch of different ways with our ascending bass of F, G, A, B, C. So the flip from D minor to F major. And so the chord that happens in between here is in fact in our new key. That's fun. Is that really what it is? I'm just confirming. In the new key. So I'm using Roman numerals for the new key now. This is a 2-6-4. No, 2-6. Yeah, 2-6. Standard pattern. So it means that this 1-6 over here becomes, this 3-6 becomes 1-6 in F major. So we've modulated already, which means that we can go back a chord and call this 5-4-3, and we can go back a chord here. This 1-6 in fact ends up being a 6-6. That's the pattern basically. So, and then amazingly enough, we do get in fact a C7 chord, R5 again. So there's a B flat there, and then the A and G. This is precisely the voice leading that you'd use in 4 voices to go this progression, and if you wrote in a theory textbook. So that's 5-7. So that's the C7 chord. So notice how smoothly it goes from D minor to C to F major here. And then the tattoo happens on F. So it sounds like F major then. We got our F up to C, F down to C. And so what does he do now? Is he going to stay in F major? Going to go back to D minor? He going to do something else? Let's find out. Because we need to get round back to D major for the opening. So how's he going to go about that? So what ends up happening is that the opening of the next bar, again, there's a bassoon doubling the violas. So we start with A, C, and E flat. Which turns our F, A, C chord. These are the top 3 notes of an F7. F dominant 7. So we're pushing away from F major now, because there's no E flat in F major. There's no E flat in D minor, D minor either. But it does resolve down to D. So we get a D, A, and C. And remember, we needed the upper voice to tell us what was going on. So they do G and F. So the pattern then here that he's using is A half diminished 7 going to D7. So this is a 5. This is a 5 of G. And preceding it is, in fact, this would be then 2 half diminished. Oh, I pressed the wrong key here. I got the right one that time. And this would be 2 half diminished 7 in the key of G minor. So and then he moves everybody up a step and does a similar thing. And so this pattern goes from, so we have B and D, which both stay. The second violin voice does F down to D, F down to E. Then we get A and G sharp up top. So notice again, this would be a B half diminished 7 chord going to an E7 chord. I should note here that this is 5-4-3 based on the pattern. So this is exactly the same thing, but now of A. So we don't get the tonic. Notice this D7 chord is supposed to resolve to G chord, but we don't get a G in the next harmony. The 7th of the chord doesn't resolve, and neither does the leading tone. Okay, and then we go up even further. Notice that the top voice enters early this time. So we have C sharp and E. So we're up a whole step one more time. We get E and E, and this one stays. So we have G. This is, well, actually these, so we're moving more quickly. Dum, 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 dum. So up here, there's G, and then it's a B flat to A going on above that. And then the second half of the bar, let me put the second half of the bar. Oh, okay. No, that's right. Excuse me. I'm making myself confused. So that's what he's doing. He's doing this. So notice that both of those chords are versions of, this would be 7 and then 5, 6, 5 of D. That's the key we're looking for. So notice that everybody moved up a whole step. B, D, B to C sharp, D to E, F to G, oh, the A to B flat. So he's modified this, so it's not fully diminished, but it's not half diminished, but fully diminished. And so it makes this 2 into a 7 harmony. That then the resolution happens early, because this voice happens early. This becomes a 5-6-5 because it goes down a half step. It's a half step too low than the previous two versions did. So it should be B to A to match this pattern. And then the voices resolve below this. So we actually get a resolution here. We get D and D. Let's do it this way. And then F and F. I'm sorry, yep. So the inner voices resolve to F. So the 7th of the chord resolves down. The 7th resolves down. The root, the 3rd of the chord resolves up, as expected. And then the B flat to A repeats. So this is giving us we get at the end of this a 1 chord, a D minor chord. So notice this. This is a 2 and 5 of the key of 4, which would be in D minor, would be minor 4. So this is a G minor, the 4 key. And then we do 2 and 5 of the dominant key, which would be A major. Well, it'd be A minor technically, but I'm just gonna write A. And then we do the chords in the key of the tonic, right? So that's the way that this is being organized, partially. The other way is that sequence going up by step. And so we get our resolution in our key. So we're back to the tonic now. And so we get that's back already into D. So just to blaze through this a little bit more quickly. So we have A, G, and D with B flat resolving down to A. So the B flat here, that makes it an E half diminished seventh chord. That's just 2, 7. Goes to A, E, G, and C sharp. Just by the way, there's nobody playing above this. This is, let me see. So this is over here. Yeah. Oh, actually, that's, yeah. Should be a flute line. Where did it go? It's up there. There's a flute playing, doubling the kind of a, it's gets played also in the viola part. The viola leaps up. So this is A7 here. So that's 5. And then we have C, E, A, C, and E flat with our G. So this is again the 2, 7 of G going to G7. So we did the stuff in 1, 2 to 5, and 1. Now we're doing 2 to 7 in the key of the 4. And then this becomes, so we have A, D, and F sharp. So the B7, the B flat is the suspension. So we have a D7 harmony. So that's that's 5. That's 5 of 4 again, which resolves to G minor. Well, there's G now, but it becomes G, A, G, and A. That's kind of fun. Hold on a second. And then it ends up. So the G and the A are the only things still happening. There's a, yeah, the D's gone. Hold on a second, I'm reading this wrong. Yeah, that's just holding over, so that's B, D, and A. So it's all happening here. So there's a B flat, an A, and a G at the same time. Why did that happen? Oh, okay, that's why. This is supposed to be a G. There we go, let's listen to that. So it resolves to a G minor chord. So that's our 4. We actually get the 4 chord. Then we have E, G, B flat. So that's our 2 again, but it's 2, 2, 4. Ooh. 2 after 6, 4. That's fun. Resolves a cadential 6, 4, and then 5 in D minor. And then the tattoo happens again. This time the brass and everybody come back in, but they only play the first measure. Da, 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 da. And then the second bar happens soft. Da, 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 da. And I had the wrong note down there. And so notice we go down a perfect fifth this time to G. And so this is a G minor chord. Well, it's just G's. And then it becomes that harmony. Becomes a flat 2 Neapolitan chord. That's cadential 6, 4. And we get our chromatic pitch resolving up to the dominant. So sharp 4 to 5. And then it goes down to be 5, 7. The melody moves first, and then everybody holds on still, so the dominant 7 doesn't technically completely arrive until here. So there's make these into more dissonance. And notice that again we get an upper neighbor to that A. So it's an incomplete lower neighbor to an upper neighbor. And so that fits everything, and then there's a quarter note rest. And then we immediately begin on D. So notice that the slow introduction stops on the dominant. So there's never any direct cadence here in terms of that the resolution note happens in the same dynamic and orchestration as the prior chord. So every time we've had so far, let me go back here. So there is resolution that occurs, but it's not complete in terms of. So there's a implication of a cadence here, cadence 6/4, 5/7, and then the next thing is loud. So it sounds like the beginning of something too. So there are ways in which the arrival to F here is temporary, because it doesn't completely end, doesn't round itself off. It starts a new thing at the same time, an elided cadence, if you like. And then we go around and we do the same thing to D, and we start the tattoo again. But again, it's a new texture, everything's louder. Then we get softer, and this new attempt at a cadence ends with a rest instead of D major chord. And then we wait, and then the new idea does begin with the arrival of low D below it. So if you want, the cadence can sort of end there. And so Haydn is playing with ending cadences that begin with a new thing. And so it just keeps propelling the music forward. So let's listen to the whole bit here. We'll listen to a little of the fast part too, and then I'm going to move on to the Mahler. Just gonna drag this up here because I don't want to deal with the big score again. There you go. All right, now to go back to our friend Mahler. So as I was working yesterday, I'd gotten to this big loud thing that happens right here. And I was able to spend some time today and type out this page where there's a big build up here to the return of the opening melodic idea. So there's some cadential feeling here, but it's again like the like this Haydn that we're just looking at, in terms of we set up an arrival, and the arrival is the return of the beginning of a thing we've heard before in some way, or the next phrase. And so this way of eliding things is going to allow each composer to extend the length of the music and to not give you the complete feeling of arrival off, start something new, right? We build up, and then this thing happens, and it's the new thing. So it's an important thing that happens in tonal music. It's the equivalent of if you've ever listened to a standard wind band or wind ensemble piece. It's the it's the guy in the back playing the suspended cymbal roll into the, and then they let go when the big tune arrives, and then we get so that's the kind of gesture we're going at here. Just a different kind of cliche, if you like. So we're going to listen from the beginning because I think it's important to hear this happen all the way from the front. Anyway, I like listening to this. So let's go back to the beginning of this mess here. So here's the opening of Mahler 9 again. And I need to click there. So anyway, the beginning, this literal moment right here, the arrival on the a tempo, is my favorite moment of this piece. It's my favorite part. So just I'm gonna just play right from that moment. So the leading right up to it is this big. So the feeling for me is always this big, the high F sharp E. So it's up here, and then I'm waiting for the D that never comes, because then he leaps back up and does A down to G. So he's modifying the opening gestures of the E down to D that we've seen a bunch of times. So there's the F sharp to E, F sharp to E. I'm sorry, F sharp to E. So that, but he adds a big octave in between, throws it up 2 octaves, and then you have to leap down, whatever this is, a ninth. Yeah. And then, and so then we're expecting Is there ever a place where there's a G to A to G? I'm looking for it. Anyway, so it's very clearly that the opening comes back, and the way that you can know that the opening has returned in some sense is that in this measure right here is this. So that gesture of A, D, C sharp, F sharp should be G sharp. Did I make a note mistake in the score? Let's see. Oh, interesting. It's not. It's a G this time. Yeah. And so that matches he modified this gesture to match the regular G sharp, C sharp to G, C sharp to G thing that happens a bunch of times in the second violins that first time, and happens again right here in this newer passage. So let's see how Mahler gets back to D major. So I got before to the very big chord that is 2 pages previous, is this big thing. And so I wanna zoom in on this a moment here. So, because there's a lot going on otherwise. So the important idea here is that in the basses and cellos are playing D. This is the basses divided. So this is the basses playing. So it's not that E. It's this E flat and one below that. I don't have that note on my keyboard. Let me double check. Yep. It's this one, and then the one down here where the wheel is, and then D's below that. So this D and one below that. So they move E flat to D here, and then the cellos on this arrival, they play an arpeggio of A to D in the first beat, and then they move away from it. But then they go back to A, D, E, F, A. So there's a D minor arpeggio there with a passing tone. So this E and G sharp is doing something. The G sharp is sort of resolving to this A up here. So the E is filling out the F. So this is an arpeggio of. So he's bum 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 bum. And you're expecting a resolution to the A, but he doesn't give it to you until the next beat, the next gesture. Mahler likes doing things like that. So, but otherwise, it's an A, D minor chord arpeggio. That's both cello parts. And then this is the violas, and they are still in alto clef. And so they play this. They play a C sharp to D resolution. That's a C sharp in alto clef, and then that is F and A. So that's still a D minor chord. So we're still getting. Sorry, I should just put the other notes that are happening. So it's a D, F, and A with all of that stuff. The cellos, when they get up here, they arrive at that's a G up there, before they leap all the way back down. All right, so this is B flat, C sharp, E, G. Oh, E natural, interesting. Against that E flat down there. Cool. So the violas arrive into that C sharp by doing the step up that is matched by the trumpet. That's what this thing up here is. So this is G, A, B, C sharp. So during this there's a G, A, B, C sharp. So the trumpet doesn't start until the A. So we're getting a La, Ti. And then the second violins do this big wonkin arpeggio. So there's a lower neighbor to the C sharp. So there's a B sharp, C sharp, and then we get F, A, C sharp, F. So there's F and A in addition to the C sharp. And then they do an octave leap A with a grace note. And the first violin is doing G sharp, excuse me, which is a going to the A. So we have a lower neighbor to A, then we have our C sharp, and then we leap up to F, and then we do a 2-octave grace note A to A. That's an A up there. So notice there are a lot of chromatic pitches going on amidst things that seem like chords. So that's the timpani part. They're playing that low D. This is the tuba and the third trombone. Third trombone. So A, D and A, which we've seen, D and A. And then that is the first and second trombones. They're playing D and F. So we're getting all the D major chords then on that arrival. So then here's the first trumpet line. The trumpet's in F. So this is up a fourth from what's written. If you want, the C is the second line here. So that's A, B, C sharp, D. That's B natural. And then the horns are holding, they're also an F. So they are same as C. So they're holding a G across. And then they do this scale down. So the in triplets. G, F, E, D. D, and then they do C. That's C natural. And then that's a B flat. That F there is a B flat. And then, so that's a G sharp. So the B flat and the G sharp are neighbors to the A that happens. And the G, of course, is a suspension, like the C sharp was in the viola, like the retardation. That's when a suspension resolves up. And then the E here is a passing tone, and so is the C in the end. So it's like you don't do, when you're in this level of hyper-romanticism, you don't often give the resolution right away. So this thing going down, so that, so the F is a resolution, and then we step down to D, and the D is part of the chord, and then we do 3 notes in a row that need to resolve to the A. So that's all of that. And so just so you know, the second horn is playing, that's a C sharp, resolving to D on the downbeat. And this is an A staying A. And then they resolve and join the upper horn parts, the third and the first horn. Okay, then here, this is the contrabassoon, so it's matching the lower octave of the cello, of the basses. So that this is below the, when you need the C extension on a double bass. So really low note, A flat to D. This is the bassoons doing E flat to D. And this is the bass clarinet in B flat. So their treble clef, this is notated as an F. It sounds a whole step lower, plus an octave down, so a major ninth. So it's this E flat right here because it's a notated F, which is this one, and it's going to sound down here. That's the E flat. So it matches the bassoon E flat, and then D. And then this is our good friend, the main clarinet line. So they do a version of holding on to this. This is a C. Let me hold on. Let me double check. This is a clarinet. It's an A. I'm just doing this. I'm gonna run out of time if I do this the whole way up. So anyway, they're doubling this is the oboes and flutes, and that's the piccolos up an octave. So they hold out C sharp, and then they resolve up to F. So they leap up to F to resolve that C sharp, if you want to call it a resolution. But anyway, so this big mess to do something that seems to outline what I would say, I made a mistake in here. So this is supposed to be C sharp. That's this part here. So the notes that precede here is the E flat, the G, the C sharp, and the A. Well, no. There's no, the G is not a thing, it's the F. Yeah. So E flat. Yeah, well, okay, the G's holding over. So yeah, we're going to keep the G too. That's fun. So all of this works because this is the half step. So it's like we're taking an A7 chord and making it crazier. So we expect the notes to be A, C sharp, E, and G. That's what we expect. We expect the A to either hold over on A or leap down to D. The C sharp is supposed to resolve to D. The E will probably either go up to F or down to D. And that G7 will resolve to F. And so what we've done is we've taken this E flat, E, and turned it into E flat to give us a resolution to D. We keep our C sharp, the A stays, the G stays, but we also, very importantly, build into this chord the F, which is the, which will, in most of the places, leaps up to A here. So that sound of there being an F in addition to the E flat here, that's the sound of a, me, do, me, do. So if I played an A7 chord with an F on top of it, so that's what's going on there. So we're taking that sonority and I'm making the E into an E flat and putting it on the bottom. Sorry. That's so it's all that kind of craziness there. So listen to that, just that 2 measures. And so that's how it's this complicated, multi-layered, chromaticized dominant. It's a species of augmented sixth in a way because of the E flat to C sharp, and they're both resolved to D. But it's functioning here like a dominant in the way that Tchaikovsky would describe it. So then, just in case if you thought that was enough, we need to do it again, but even more intensely, because it was E flat to D in the bass. We need to go A to D to really make sure we know what we're doing. So what Mahler does is so that E flat to D, and then that D in the bass, after there's more melodic stuff going on that's all D minor-y. There's a G that happens 2 bars later. And that G flips down to B flat and then resolves down to A. And that A becomes our important note. It's being held in the timpani and it returns as a part of a chord. So so the important thing that happens is the arrival of this harmony here at the very end of this. So I'm just taking the big moments here. So let's look through this moment. I won't go so slow. So we've got A. This is the cellos in tenor clef. So that is a C sharp, very high. It's the one in the middle of the treble clef. And then this is a viola playing an A, right? They were doubled, C, C sharp, and then they do an arpeggio down to this A through a C sharp, F sharp, A, C sharp, and so that F sharp is kind of fun. So notice we have C sharps. They had moved from C naturals to C sharps. So C sharps, notice that there's an A, G, and C sharp, and then we have an A, B, starting of a, that's a melodic pickup that we heard from the very opening. And that's an F sharp way up on top there. So this is like the F that I was talking about before happening during a dominant, but this happens in major, so it's an F sharp sound. So let me put the A, B here. So there's the A pedal. Tuba's not playing. This is the third. This is the third trombone playing. And I'm gonna write this here. Well, it's actually below that. So there's a G here. That's an A and an F sharp. So notice the F sharp is above the G. These are the horns in F. So this is G and A. So those same two G's. This is an F sharp in the first and second horn. And then, I'm sorry, these are the trumpet parts. So it's up an octave. So that's G and A and F sharp. So that matches this higher octave here. It's these three notes here. And then these are the horn parts. And that is, in fact, a G. That's an A. And these are our F sharps too. G, A, and F sharp. This is the bassoons and bass clarinet playing A. This is a trill on A to B trill. In the clarinets, that is the E flat clarinet, so it sounds a minor third higher. That is in an A. No, it's not. It's an F sharp, D sharp, up a third, F sharp. There's the A, B that matches the second violin and the oboes, and then those are F sharps there. So we get this big honker, which is, so we've got A, G, C sharp, and so this is our, so notice there is that we're not getting the, so there's no E this time. So how you get this one is that we take our A, C sharp, E, G, 7th, A7 chord. And so instead of getting E, we move this one up a step. And it happens above the G. That's important to all these things because it's a melodic pitch. And so it's this C sharp, G, F sharp thing. That sound on top of an A. And then there's also this interior voice that's doubling this A that moves up to the B. And that B is the 9th of this chord. So we would get, becomes this. And so that's really cool. So that's a dominant sound. It's very common in even, like we're taking a thing that would happen in Mendelssohn really slow, really quickly. It'd be kind of nice, be kind of cute. Like it wouldn't have this voice in it, but the other notes would happen. And, or like Amy Beach, but we're just pulling it out as much, like pulling it out like taffy. And then we get the arrival on the next downbeat. Is so the basses play D and A. So that's our one sound here. And then the cellos and violas pick up that F sharp A thing after a rest. B and A and F sharp and A and B and A. And the second violins, they go a B, A, B, A. So they play a B, A on the downbeat here. And then the first violins, they leap from that F sharp way up there and they leap down a 9th to an E. The harp returns playing an arpeggio of D major, right? We have a new key signature. D, A, F sharp, A, and then a D chord. And the trombones and tuba enters with a D. We have an A, and an F sharp. So then, so what ends up happening is that we get something like this. So I'm gonna play this modified thing that I've got here. It's like, sorry, I played an F. So It's got the kind of a feel of a D9, but there's no C of any kind. And that's following the viola part here in the third and fourth horn. Bassoons play like the contrabasses, and the bass clarinet is just holding a low D. The clarinets are matching the violas, and then this is the E that's in the first violins, and that's the BA that's in the violas. So just listen for how this is a very complex 5/7 with extra stuff to 1 that's not fully resolved because the melody stops on E. Okay, so that's why. That shouldn't have happened that way. It should be this. I made a pitch mistake. So let's listen from the big E flat 7, the E flat chord, the one with the E flat on the bottom. So you can listen to these two different examples of complex dominant sonorities going to some version of a tonic. So here's the bar previous to that E flat. And just in case you think that Mahler isn't following some sort of cadential pattern here, when the timpani enters, when that A happens, we get a D major chord. The trumpets are playing the notes of a D major chord. This is an F sharp, that's a D, and that is an A. So there's a cadential 6/4-ish sound when the trumpets play their bum 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 ba ba, and then we slide up to that complex A chord. So it's beautiful stuff. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes now and get myself some water, and I'll be back for us to distill down some ideas about how to write something like the end of the exposition of Beethoven 1 first movement. So I'll be back in a couple of minutes. All right, so welcome back. And we're back to Beethoven 1. So we got to the end of the exposition yesterday. And so now is the time. I put off writing music like this passage so that I could include this music here. So this closing material on this page and this end of the second theme area. So we've got, so the second theme is this. So we've got this is the first half of it, and then there's the second part. This is a avoided cadence here, and then there's a loud drive to a G major cadence. So that's the first big cadence in the G major. It flips to G minor, and it winds itself back to G major, and there's a cadence arrival here. This one has an elided cadence, and then it's louder. So this section is still, because it's still driving forward, in my mind, it's still part of the secondary theme zone, or whatever you want to call it. And then everybody playing in octaves, D, E, C, D, G. I'm in the wrong key. D, E, C, D, G. And then this is the kind of extra tag material, if you will. So closing material. All right. So feel free to disagree on the form there with me if you like. So I'm going to write music like this to the end. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to listen to this area. We're going to start with the second theme begins, just to listen to the end of the exposition. So here's the oboe pickup. Here we go. So that's going back to the front of the exposition. So let's distill down what's happening from when it gets loud. So we get a remembrance of the first theme. Now in the dominant. So this bum ba ba dum. So notice that. So instead of dum ba ba dum ba ba da ba da ba da ba da ba dum, instead of the repetition of the, so ba ba da ba da ba da ba da ba dum da ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da. So it's similar to this part here. Ba ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da. So we're moving up by step, but he's only doing half steps down this time. I'm trying to see if something like that happens anywhere else. So in that, the lower half step stepping is borrowed from this area down here in the cello tune when it's in G minor. All of this this descending half step motion. So we're taking that idea with a slightly different rhythm to match like the first theme, because the first theme went bump bump bump, went repeated note, then went down back up, and this went down and then repeated notes. So we're kind of combining those two ideas together to get this rhythmic motive. we're ascending by step. So this pattern of G da da A da da B da da C da da D. So we're going up all the way to D, the fifth, and then there's a very common way to harmonize that is this the passing gesture here of 1 to 5 4 3 to 1 6. So that's how you would get something like that to occur. And then we have tremolo strings, tremolo violins, we'll say, chords in winds, full measure chords in winds, arpeggio bass. So notice that this arpeggio bass pattern of this boom bum beam bum boop bop beep bop, that's also borrowed from the second theme accompaniment. So it's it's this right here. Actually, that's the first theme. Okay. Oh no, we're in the second theme. Excuse me. This part right here. Bop bop beep bop. So we're just doing that in order. That is doing a bunch of them in a row is what I mean. And then we've got more chromatic harmony, including 7 of things and 5 of things, and then the important unexpected chord quality and resolution. So this moment where it becomes suddenly fortissimo is this 7 of 6 is supposed to resolve to a minor E minor chord, and so we get an E major chord. And so that's the bass going from B to A to G sharp instead of G natural. And then important part is the arpeggio of fully diminished 7 in melody. So that's the 0 ba da 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 dee dee da dum, and then it happens again da 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 dee da dum, and then everybody together on D E C D G. So that. How many bars is this? So we got bum ba ba da 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 2 da 3 4, and then this would be beginning of 1 again. 1 2 3 4 do 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 1 do 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 do. So this fits a 4-bar scheme. So this is 1 2 3. This is 4, and this is 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. So it fits in a 4-measure grid, but it's actually organized as a 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then the last 2 bars are leading to the next thing. But then, so the cadence, but the arrival happens on the next beat. So the next bar is a part of this idea. Bump. And then there's 2 bars of this, and then there's so that. And that's the big cadence. That's the big cadence. And then 4 more. And 4 more cadences. 2 2 1 1. That's the length of the measures, so it's 2 bars. So that's 2 bars, and then so that's 2 bars to get to this one, then 1 bar to get to that one, then 1 bar to get to that one, and then there's a 4 measures of retransition back to the tonic key and the opening melody, and we are arpeggiating. In this case, it's a G7. We're just going down a G7 chord, and there's the pickup to the tune. Okay, that's enough information for me. And now to write some music. Okay, writing some music now. Do I want to base this on anything that I've done so far? I had this. Let me listen to something. This is the sort of the stuff I wrote. Like, I can't remember which one this was. So that's the music I wrote that's like the G minor section of the Beethoven symphony. So I should point that way. That's where the score is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is write some celebratory G major music that's a little stormy. So we'll just keep this key. So A major. I'm just gonna steal this dum buddy dum, and we're gonna write something else from that. So you're gonna be there, and you're gonna do that there too. So this is just actually this is all a one chord basically. So. Let's do dum ba da dum ba da dum. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, that the mouse moving over and over again is gonna do something to me. So let's write. Okay, so I'm gonna drag this up here. Let's view. Okay. So I'm building a sequence up. I'm trying to get from bum buddy dum ba da to some kind of E thing here. So I need a dotted rhythm there, and we're gonna do that, and then it's probably gonna be too far. So let's repeat that and go back here. So what would this be? So we're gonna do, I like the sixths that are happening here. So we're gonna do that. So we're adding sixths below. So this needs to have, for some reason, that note is gonna come. Okay, and so now we're going to just have repeated A's in the bass here. Let's do... Okay, that's why I got that G in there. No. Okay, so I don't like that G sharp in the bass, so let's go back to E. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to do 1, 5, 1, then some sort of... Okay, so this is fine. So let's take this up here and shove it over there, and we're gonna go back to that. dum ba da dum ba da 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 bum ba da da dum For some reason I want to do that. Let's see what that does. Oh, okay, this is why. I need to flip to thirds so that I'm in the chords I want. So this is apparently 1 and 4. And then that'll allow me, okay, so I don't need, let's just shove that over to the side again. And we're gonna do the 2-bar repetition pattern that I had done before. Boom, ba-da, dum, ba-dum. And so now we're gonna go down, we're gonna do I want to do, let's have them do that. I don't like that. So the problem I'm being run into is that, so I want notes that are in, okay, so that's the reason, because the F sharp. Okay, I'm playing with this too much here. Okay, so I'm gonna have to think about this differently. So the solution is to go over here and let's look at this. So he does 2 bars of 1, then there's a 5, and he's going up by step from do, re, mi, fa, so. So let's set that up. So I've got do, da ba da 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 dum. So now what I need to do is, so instead of doing this, what I should do is go back and do this again, and then that moves up a step. Do, re, mi, fa. So that's what I needed. So then what I can do is this goes back to 5. And then this goes back to, and this should be 1. And then I want this, and then that voice to be there. Okay, then this should be my, hold on, so going back here, we had, there it goes. Okay, so it was this. So I'm going to cut out that, and we're going to cut out that. And then this is we're gonna go up by step per bar. Okay, so the problem ends up being that it's so this, I'm basing it on the first note of the tune. It's okay to there. And then it's going to cause problems starting with this one. Because that F sharp's not going to be helpful. So we'll go down. Yeah, that works. So I wanted to get to 1/6, and then this is where the crazy stuff is supposed to start happening. Okay, so there we go. So that's 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, and then it's 4. So the 1/6 was this chord here, and I'm sorry, this is 1/6, and then this is where everything starts going haywire. Do I want to use this exact chord progression? No, not particularly. So what I can do is, so he's got a, that's 1/6, and then this is a, that's G triad, and that's D sharp 7. Yeah, D sharp fully diminished 7. So that's B. Okay, so taking the third of this chord. Okay, so this is, so it'll be a C sharp fully diminished 7 chord there. Okay, well, let's see what that sounds like. No, G natural, we need G natural. Oh, yeah, I need G natural. There we go. Okay, and then this is the moment where Beethoven has an unexpected resolution. So it's supposed to go to F sharp. We'll just go to switch, go to F sharp minor. Instead, it's going to go to F sharp major. Ooh, that's going to be kind of funny. kind of fun. He's going down by step. He's doing boom. And then he does the so there should be a B flat there. And then this should be the A sharp. So why am I why is my, oh, that's why. No, that's not true. So the third of the chord is on the bottom. And then this is the fifth of a fully diminished seventh chord. So this should be the G. Ah. Okay, that's why. Should be. My brain is having trouble transposing this. So what we're gonna do and the solution to our problem is to make Sibelius do it because my brain isn't working as well as I would like it to. So we're going to use the technology to help us. So this should be G natural. Okay, and transpose up a second. So why did that happen? Why is there D sharp there? So B, D, G, B. So it went up a third. That's why. I wanted a second. So I should have. Oh, okay. That's why. So I went to the wrong chord. Yeah, that's why. Okay. So it should be a. I went to the C sharp. It should be an E diminished. Try it. E diminished. Oh, well, this is G sharp, B, and D. F sharp. So A up a step is B. So D sharp up a step is E sharp. Yeah. It's supposed to be an E sharp fully diminished seventh chord. Okay. That'll change it. So E sharp, so we need G sharp then. And we need B natural, and then this G sharp's good. There it is. Okay, so that means that this E sharp, G sharp, B, and D. So B, so E sharp's good. I need E sharp, and then that's B. And then I want, then from there, yeah, there it is. Okay. And that should be E, that, and this, and there we go. So then we get rid of this, and it helped. Sibelius, you're so fun sometimes. Okay. I'm gonna institute some things here. So we're gonna just take this all and throw it up an octave up here. And so let's add harmonization inside voices here. And so this would be went the wrong way. No. Yeah. We're just going to leave that way. That's why. Needed that. And then this changes. So we go up a step. So we go down a step, excuse me. And then go down to A and C sharp, and then we get an E here. Just gonna get rid of the A. Keep on wanting to put an F sharp in that M E chord. Should be just that. Then this F major triad, if I'm going to follow the Beethoven chord progression, is going to become a sharp fully diminished seventh chord. A sharp, C sharp, B, G. So that's A sharp, G. Okay, and let everybody play that. Do octaves. And they become a stable bass here. So on the fifth scale degree of the key, so on E. It's kind of fun. Oof. It's because I'm at the end, it'll just immediately go back to the beginning if I hit the space bar. Beep-a-doop boop boo. And then that resolves as expected, so that's should go to a B minor chord. So I've got an first inversion here. Huh. Why did that happen? Oh, okay, I don't have the right note in this measure. So it should be down to the root. Yeah, so let's move this down a third. Yeah, kind of like that better the other way. So the solution then is to just go back to what I had before because I liked it. And then they're going to go down. And then it'll be a 7 of 5, excuse me, So that would be D sharp fully diminished 7. So it's up upper 4th. It's kind of fun. Let's have it do a half step. That'll get me to where I need it to go. Ba-ba-dum-bum. Ba-ba-dum-bum. Ba-ba-da-da-da-da-dum. Bum, bum, bum. Let's make. I don't want to use the same melodic contour here in the octave part. Ba-ba-dum, 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 dum. Ba-ba-da-da-da-da-da. Bum, bum. Da-ba-da-da-da. Okay, let's make it a little more interesting. Okay, so I'm going to actually harmonize this E here. So this is an E triad. So this is 5. And I'm having to go to 1's 4, 6. And that's 1. That's fine. And that's 4, which we're gonna slam this into a 2 chord here. Yeah, okay, we're going to do a scale here. Yeah, that worked. And now we're gonna go be-do-do. Be bum 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 apologize. All right, I just gotta do that. Oh, okay, that's what I wanted to do. Is that trying to find a nice arpeggio for this going down? And so this should be. Okay, so now we're gonna bump, bump, beep, bump. And this is the motive from my opening. When I was in the tune before, it was so do mi re do. That's the thing that happened a bunch of times. Okay. Creating a counter melody. There we go. Okay. So let's listen to all of this and then I'll explain what the heck I did. I want to do a repeated A a bunch of times. And then up 2 octaves. And copy that there, and then you do that. And then I'm gonna harmonize this. I'm actually gonna just pull out this and this. We'll get that. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. So I've taken the basic outlines of the Beethoven. I've actually stayed to the harmony pretty darn close. So I'm in A. I'm a whole step higher. And so what I've done is I've built something out of this previous music. Had this so it's this the dotted quarter, eighth quarter rhythm, and I've taken this do re mi do is the basis of what I was going to do next, and so I have do re mi, and I've got it harmonized in thirds. It's actually sixths, so I have the other part that would give me the those are the A, C sharp, and E. I have on the outer part of the measure. I've measured beat 1 and beat 3 for an A major chord, and I'm just repeating in quarter notes A. And this is just that with A major harmonies, so this is A and C sharp. So, so I've got passing tones on B and D, and that repeats twice. And then I'm going to move to 5 like Beethoven did. And so I'm moving up, and then this is kind of a E9 sort of feel. It goes down to the 7th and 5th here, and that's a 1 in between notes, and then this is 570, and so there are 2 bars of that, and then it goes back to 1, and then I move to one chord per bar, so it starts the same way. So let's listen to the opening. So 2 measures of 1, 2 measures of 5. Okay, so then there's 1 measure of 1. And I'm trying to move up from the downbeat up from D up to E, A up to E. So 1 A, 2 B, 3 C sharp, 4 D, and 5 E. That's the goal of this. And so I'm moving the rest of the voices so that I can get to those notes and still do this kind of either ascending or descending dotted rhythm by step. So I go from 1 in root position to the next bar is 5, so we get B and D. So it's like that 9 sort of feel here. I could make that different if I wanted to. What would the option be? The other option would be to do that. I could do that. Yeah, whatever. I like the other way. I don't mind the 9th feel for a moment. So that's 5. It goes back to 1, newly voiced this time. So that makes sure I get C, E, and G with the C, D, E. So I've flipped these 2 voices, and they're happening this way. So that is the A, C sharp, A, B, C sharp is on the bottom, and the C sharp, D, E is on top. And then, so I need to go down to get to the D in the top voice now. So then this is going to be another 5 chord. It's 5-7, but B's on the bottom. And actually, I don't have any E's. I'll just add one. Yeah, it was fine the way before. So it was a G7, G sharp 7, half diminished 7 chord basically. G sharp B D, root position. So it's the same. It's something that would happen there. And then I'm going to do something like what Beethoven does. He has their ascending arpeggios. I decided to go down. So, but it's an A major triad in first inversion, which is the note chord I wanted. And then I needed to go to 5 of 6. It's actually 7 of 6. Which is E sharp fully diminished 7, E sharp, G sharp, B, and D, which is right here. So I started having the inner voices in this lower part here do a voice exchange with the top voices to make sure I had all the notes on each beat. So there's these notes match in the middle. But so we should have A and C sharp and C sharp and C sharp E is down here, and A, C sharp is here, and that just happens a bunch of times in a row. It changes in notes for the chord. And so this fits Beethoven's harmony, so we have C sharp fully diminished 7, and it's supposed to go to F sharp minor in root position, but it instead goes, with A sharp as the lowest note, the bass. So it's supposed to go to F sharp minor with A on the bottom, but it has F sharp major. And then that goes to, and then that's supposed to resolve. So that one doesn't resolve directly. It moves to a fully diminished 7 that has A sharp in it. So instead of being F sharp A C, F sharp A C sharp, it becomes A sharp C sharp E G. And so then I'm arpeggiating down like Beethoven did in the upper voice. I have different pitches because of how I got to dum ba dee, and then I wanted to keep that note. He put the 5th scale degree E in the bass. That's of the key. And then it resolves as normal to a B minor triad, so I have it arpeggiate up. And then this one actually, because of the way I arpeggiated the B minor, it gets the same voicing as Beethoven's does. So this is a D sharp fully diminished 7 as is expected based on Beethoven's progression. And then Beethoven just goes D, E, C, D. So that's 4, 5. I'm sorry, it's 5, 6, 4, 5, 1. Just those notes in a row. So sol, la, fa, so, or the pitches he uses are re, mi, do, re. So this, so I wanted to harmonize this because I thought I didn't like the way it sounded, and I wanted to write a different melodic gesture because it sounded too much. I'm supposed to sound like Beethoven, but it sounded too much like Beethoven. So I made some melodic gesture, a melodic idea up that came into my head. So I went, started on the same. So this is the 5th scale degree E. So I did 5, 6, 1, 4, 4, 5, 6, and then I borrowed this measure from the original time I wrote this 3/4 music. I used this. So that's cool that I did G sharp there. In the main melody, it's E, G, A, C sharp. So what did I do? I wanted G sharp there. Okay, so there's a scalar passage or whatever. So, and then I harmonized it just to fill it out because I didn't think it would sound. It's too long for a unison thing like this. So so they all arrive on E because for the resolution of the D sharps, and I put an A in for the so to resolve that down, so I had a third on the downbeat here of the G minor chord. So it's G minor 7. G minor, it becomes G minor 7, so that's sorry, G major. So this is a 5. Excuse me, it's not ever G minor. So it's E major. So this is a 5 chord. Make it 5, 7 there, and then I did a 4, 6. So because the melody goes E, F sharp, that enables a D. You can do D major in first inversion after an E7 chord in classical style like this. Not that the bass the bass has the melody too, so that's makes it kind of strange. But but so that can resolve to 1. So I did an A major chord there, and then we get another. I did a 2 chord here, so this is a 2/6 B minor chord. And then I made this whole measure an elaboration of a cadential 6/4 by having the bass move to a bass gesture. Start doing something other than the melody. And then so I sort of allow this F sharp to move with the A and the C sharp happening together. B and D. Ooh, that really doesn't work the way I thought it did. Okay, so let's do it that way. Yeah, that's fine. The other option would be, actually I like the let's do that one. So keeping the A chord, but the F sharp is just a passing tone. Yeah, that's right. So then I made with the E here, that makes it a 5, 7. Goes back to the 1, so this whole little bar has the function of a cadential 6/4, and then we go. Everybody does so ti mi re do, so that's 5, 7, 3, 2, 1, and then I then for this is the closing material, so that's the big cadence. So I'm doing 1 that goes to 4, 6, 4. Back to 1 and then 5, and then that whole thing repeats, and the melody thing happens again. So so the F sharp is a part of the 4 chord. This is part of 1. That's part of 5, and that happens twice. I built a counter melody, so there's a D going to C sharp, so that's 4 to 1. You know, that's the 4 chord to the 1 chord, and then this moves up to 5. And to be in the 5 chord and back down to the 3, so that's part of the 1 chord. And then I did like Beethoven and I cut out the 4 chord, so it just stays 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, and so that's the 7th of and that's the 2nd scale degree, the 2nd. Sorry, That's, yes, the second scale degree. It's the fifth of the chord. So, and then I did an arpeggio of the triad all the way from A, C, A, E, C sharp, A, and then I have I have the highest voice drop an octave and fill out the chord with just an A and a E, C sharp in the inner voices there. So, take a listen to this whole thing. Works out pretty well, I think. So I never used this, but I'm going to keep it because it shows me that I borrowed that. And if I had more time, I would extend this chromatic session. It happens a little too fast for what happens around it, so I would extend this somehow to make it not sound so awkward. It works. It's just it would be better if it was a little slower. It took more time, so there are a couple more bars. Yeah, like, so what I would want is it to do. So if apparently I'm just going to sit here and do it. So like just to repeat the measures. Yeah, that's better. It needs more time. And that basically works in the tempo it's at. So yeah, so that basically works. Okay, so that's all I have time for today. So hi there, Magali, I guess is your name. So the yeah, that's all I've got time for today. So when I come back tomorrow for episode 20, in the second hour, what I'm going to be doing is we're going to take a bird's eye view of the exposition and notice things that we would see more globally about how the first part of this Beethoven's First Symphony movement works. And because we by only looking at the single measures at a time, or little sections, we get certain kinds of views, but we want to be able to see it in larger chunks and be able to notice larger patterns. So like yesterday I showed how the dynamics help make everything work out. So we'll do that with some other things like phrase lengths and some other things. So we'll be looking at the larger sonata form bits all at once. So today and we'll also do probably more Haydn and Mahler. I'm not sure. I'll pick something else. Who knows? The first hour will have other music in it. So I'm going to call this the end of today. So I'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, like it is here in where I'm from in Ohio. So I'll see you all then. So this is Music Corner, episode 19 of the Symphonizing project I'm doing. I'm David Colma. Have a great day.